the dugout at Hidden Lakes. We're back with Rick Hurd. This is perfect. We're in a baseball dugout. You covered baseball for how many years?
I covered the major leagues for full time from 2002 to 2008. And I did it for years part time before that, and I covered the A's for 3 seasons, from 02 to 04, and I was a season ticket holder before that, and played before that, and now I'm coaching, so it's a pretty large part of my life.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. Watching and being a baseball fan of the A's. I'm trying to remember. Do you remember the A's of the early 70s?
Oh gosh, yes.
Okay, tell people tell people what we're talking about here.
I grew up in Alameda, 5 minutes away, and they were dynastic. And one of my teams, my T-ball team, my very first team, we had Vita Blue's son. His name was Derek. And I can remember in T-ball 2 things. I can remember him hitting one a long way and circling the bases. And I can remember one night he came out with Vita, and Vita brought Gene Tennis with him. And I think Catfish, pretty sure it was Catfish was the other one. And I can remember they threw ground balls to us. Now, can you imagine that? Someone on a 3-time world champion coming out and throwing ground balls to you at the local Little League field in Alameda, but that's what it was like in the 70s. And that, I'll never forget that, and I'll never forget those times, and it started a love affair with the game that's lasted all my life. No one will ever convince me that it's not the greatest sport ever invented. It's certainly the most like life, it and soccer, and without it, I'm not sitting here without this. It's every time I've needed it in my life, it's been there, and it's brought me a lot of joy. And I come from a baseball family. My mom's dad built the lights on the original Yankee Stadium, and my grandma saw Mickey Mantle's first game. So I saw Ricky Henderson's first. So we've seen some extraordinary things.
79?
Nolan Ryan's 6 no-hitter. I was in the stands for that, and seen some extraordinary things. So this game has done a lot of good things for me.
What about this? Do you remember 79? There weren't a whole lot of people in the stands with those A's games.
No, I won't say that I was at the game where there was 563 of them, but I was there running down foul balls when most of the first base line was completely empty. I never got any of them back in the day, but you just loved baseball back then. When you're that age, 10, 11, 12, you'll just go see anybody. And my family, they weren't into the Giants, and they said Candlestick was too cold, and so we never went to see the Giants. And I grew up with quite a dislike of the Giants, and here I am. I'm wearing my, people won't know, but I gotta show them. I'm wearing my World Series Authentic too. So anyway, and that all goes back to watching Mad Bum pitch and giving him his props, but I'm not so hardcore anymore. But back in the day, 89 and that time and 70s, I was a big A's fan.
Yeah, what about this? What about the first time you were in the A's clubhouse, you were working? Was it kind of surreal to be down there?
I'll never forget, I covered, they played the Twins, it was 95, and Scott Brocious hit 2 home runs. And I can remember I got back up to the press box and I had a little trash 80. And
that's a computer. Tell people that.
Yeah, it was a little laptop, tiny, 3 lines at a time laptop that you then dialed through on an actual dial-up line to get the story in. I'm still not quite sure how it worked exactly, but I didn't say a word in the clubhouse. It was just too surreal. Dave Stewart was there, and Mark McGuire, and Terry Steinbach, and all these guys, and Tony La Russa, and I did say hello to him, and that was very surreal. But the most surreal part about it was I went back upstairs, and I'm on my laptop, and I look around, and I'm seeing Ray Ratto, and Bruce Jenkins, and Bud Geraci, and some of these other folks. Art Spander, I think, might have been there. And the KNBR guys, and I'm thinking, what in the world am I doing here? And I was there for a long time, and it's something I wanted to do my whole entire life. So the first time I did it, it was very, very surreal. And then you learn to do it, and you come to realize it's just like anything else in life. Has its high points, and it has its points that are to be desired.
Right. Tell people when the fan I don't know, let's say the A's are trailing 5-4. In the bottom of the 9th, okay, I'm going to say here, and somebody hits a 2-run home run for the A's. The crowd goes nuts, But up in the press box, it's not such a good
Yeah,
deal.
they're throwing things in the press
Tell
box
people
at that
why.
point.
Tell people why.
Oh, well, because, you know, you have to, that story, it's on deadline. And deadline in that situation, home games at night, weekdays, deadline is when the game ends. So you just took a story that you've written that's nice and ready to go, and now you have to rewrite it, and you have to do it as fast as you can because they wanted it yesterday. And it's, I mean, that was exactly kind of the scenario the night the A's won their 20th in a row. If you want to know the truth, people ask me, what was your most memorable night in this industry? And I would say that would be it. And it wasn't a good night. It was terribly stressful and hard, and it took every single bit of skill that I had learned, and I still don't know how good a job I did that night. You know, it was a weird thing. I don't know if the people that watch your program remember, but
Was that Hatterberg?
they were ahead 11-0 in the 5th inning, and I had my story written, and I thought, this is going to be great. I can sit back and watch the last 4 innings of this, and this is my childhood team, and I'm good to go, and I got my hot dog, and I'm all set. And then all of a sudden it becomes 11-5 on some really dumb plays, and then it becomes 11-10 on some more dumb plays, and then they tie the game. And by the time they tied the game, my computer had upgraded that point to, I think, a Toshiba that had a little bit bigger screen, and I could see a couple paragraphs at a time, but I had 2 screens up at the same time, so I could only see like 3 lines of each story that were up at the same time. One of them was the A's won, and one of them was the A's lost, and I literally was trying to put these stories together simultaneously as all of this is unfolding. And Hatterberg steps up in the 9th inning and hits the second pitch over the fence, and they win 12-11. Well, I send my story in. I look at my score sheet that I've been trying to keep up with frantically, and unbeknownst to me, Scott Hatterberg had stepped up and hit the home run, and it wasn't the guy that I had on my score sheet. So that was actually something that my desk caught before I was able to get downstairs in a mad scramble to get downstairs to talk to everyone. And I can remember I was there with Neil Hayes, who was the author of the Great De La Salle book and the movie, When the Game Stands Tall. He and I were there together that night. And we went out to a Pleasant Hill establishment.
Artie's?
No, it was Magoo's.
Magoo's, okay.
And it was one of the last times I took a cab home. And I can remember just sitting there talking about how difficult it was, and what a night it was, and how it would be historic, and it is now. And I look back on it, and I'm proud of the work that I did, and I'm proud of the desk and the work that they did to make it sound readable. And that was really a thankless task. And you know, now those jobs are being eliminated in our industry, and it's a shame because those guys are really, really, really good at what they do.
Yeah, people don't know this. People just read the newspaper. They don't know about the people that work on the desk doing. They don't tell what people
designing pages,
proofreading,
taking 1,000 words and in 5 minutes turning it into 500 words of readable material. Typos that are made at the last second. Sometimes the score is wrong. You know. And I saw it from both sides, and I saw how, and I always had a lot of respect for those guys. And when I had to do it for 4 years, I had even more respect for them than I do now. I couldn't do it every day for 20 years like some of these guys do. It's just, I couldn't do it.
Right.
And they do, and they're the hard hats of the industry, you know what I mean? They're the lunch pail guys.
The backbone.
Yeah, they're the backbone lunch pail guys of the industry. They really are.